Okay, our next step is to add blur to your subject. So we're going to use a whole new set of tools. Okay, so we are going to do this first. Go Command J and make a copy. So let's go to this one and call it subject. Okay. And this one would be called subject copy. Okay. So there we got that. Turn off the subject copy layer and just look at subject only. We're going to use a whole new tool up here under the filters. So you're going to go to Blur Gallery, and under Blur Gallery, go to Path Blur. And you can see immediately it started to make him fuzzy and out of focus. And you have these two dots and a blue arrow. And you can see my cursor's turning into a thumbtack. So let's go over here to Blur Tools. Turn off center blur. So now what it's going to do is make the blur go behind him. You're going to click on one of the dots and pull it. And then this middle dot right here, you can push and pull that in any direction. You can also add more dots if you want. I'm going to just back this up so it goes right into the middle of him. And then I'm going to add another line down here at the bottom. And I'm going to go like that. I have to firmly click so it knows to end that line. And then I'm going to bend and warp this some. Kind of similar to what I was doing with my other guy. Now you'll see I've got a whole bunch of lines happening right now, but not really any like blur that you saw in the sample, the finished sample. Don't worry about that, okay? We're just going to bend these lines. And you can change your bend later if you don't like it. Now, let's go back over here to the blur tool. So after you've added these lines, go over here to where it says speed. If you start to stretch that, see how he really starts to tweak? And now he's really blurring. You can also adjust taper, and that will change and transform. And then you can also go to end point speed, and that makes even more of a curve. So I'm going to keep playing with speed until it really starts to bend. There we go. Now I got some stuff. Now, I need his blur to show up more and to curve and look more like that wisps of smoke that I had. So I'm going to go to Edit Blur Shapes, and you'll see that I get these red lines, arrows. I can pull those arrows around. Let me dump that one. Dump that one. Delete. Let me do this one more time. Edit Blur Shape. So if I go here, I turn on Edit Blur Shape. Now I get these red arrows. And these arrows, see that? It's like he turned into smoke. They just manipulate the path of the blur. So you play with those as much as you want until you think they look good, is the truth. And I can also go back and make changes in here too and be like, oh gosh, I don't really like that. So you're going to go to each of your lines and you're going to, whoa, don't want to add that line. I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on the end of this line. Now I'm adding my blur shapes again. And that's starting to really bend and tweak stuff. And I go down here, same thing. Maybe I'm going to change my mind and make this one go up. I don't know. So you're just going to play with it until you like the blur lines you're getting. That one is not as cool. Back that up a little bit. I really like these wispy, smoky lines. And when you're all done with that, you're going to hit OK. Excuse me. And it's going to take a second to process that. Okay, so now what you have is a whole smudgy, smoky blur, and that's cool. We want to turn on subject copy. So now it's like that's the trail that he's leaving. Okay? So that is that part.